Including B-roll in your main video has become very popular on YouTube right now as a way of making your footage more cinematic and making your videos more interesting. The question is, what is a good way of using B-roll? How do you plan it out and organize it? What can you do to make sense of the B-roll process? I'm Bill Snodgrass. In this video, I'm going to talk about one way that you can make sense of the B-roll process of shooting good B-roll and then using it effectively to enhance your main video. But first, I'm going to get out of the hot sun. I'm going to go over here to this picnic table and get in the shade. Before we get into the method I use to make sense of the B-roll sequence process, I want to say this about B-roll. It's important to remember that B-roll needs to be part of the main video. It's not just something you stick in because it looks cool. B-roll has the purpose of enhancing the main video, of enhancing the story, of making the story make more sense. Whatever that story is, if it's a documentary, if it's a how-to video, or if it's some kind of a dramatic portrayal. The purpose of B-roll is to enhance the main story. So with that said, how can you organize your B-roll? How can you set up your B-roll process in order to make sense of it and get good use out of it? I want to propose a technique. Now, disclaimer, I don't consider myself to be the end-all, be-all, all-knowing B-roll genius. But in trying to improve my own videos, I've made B-roll a bigger emphasis, and this is the technique that I use. This is a technique that's been very helpful for me in order to figure out what to shoot and how to put it together. And I call it daisy chaining the clips. If you think of the main story as being the main story and the B-roll segment as being a paragraph of transition of some sort, a paragraph that is explaining a little bit more about the story, the situation, the setting, then each clip becomes a sentence in that paragraph. So if your whole video is the story, the B-roll sequence is a paragraph, each clip becomes a sentence in that paragraph. And by daisy chaining the clips together, what I mean is that there is a connectable image or visual reference or hint of a visual reference in each clip, so that you know as the clip is going along, you know that you're advancing from one part to the next, to the next, to the next. The clip I used in order to show me coming from the car to here is an example of that daisy chaining of clips together. Now, I'm gonna go back to my office and show you some more clips and talk about how I daisy chained those things together. So let's get out of here. Now we'll do the cliched YouTube transition. I'm gonna cover the lens and that thing. So here we go, ready? See you back in the office. Whoosh. So I'm in the office and I got two clips I wanna show how I use this technique of daisy chaining the clips, the B-roll clips together to transition or to tell part of the story. I want to reiterate that B-roll is to enhance the story. The B-roll is not the story. The B-roll is just dropping in some really cool B-roll. I mean, it may be really cool looking and it may be interesting, but really B-roll should enhance the story, enhance what's going on, or serve as a transition from, hey, I'm over here at the coffee shop and now I'm gonna go down to the skateboard park, and the B-roll would be the transition from the coffee shop to the skateboard park. So that said, this B-roll sequence I'm about to show you is to show the location where I'm doing the narrative, and I'm talking about the library. So I'm talking about the purpose of the library and society, blah, 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 stuff like that. So here's the B-roll clip, and I'll talk about it as it goes along. So I start off setting, you know, I'm walking out of the car, heading towards that bench. So now I'm sitting on that bench, and I'm talking about library and the purpose of the library, and I'm at a library. And so I'm going to set that by just a little scenery, hit the picnic table. Now the picnic table becomes the tie to the next clip that goes to the library. Book fair sign. So I'm going to retrieve that book fair sign as a way of reminding people. Now I'm going in those doors that you saw in the clip before, and through those doors, and then there's a lot of books because it's a library. A little bit of talking, and then back into the library. And back in the library, just kind of talking about how books, so the clips all kind of tie together, and it establishes the fact that I'm at the library, and it fits into the narrative. It fits into the words that I'm saying. So that's how the technique works. And it isn't that you have to precisely dovetail this end with this beginning, but once this clip runs, my idea, the way that I make sense of B-roll, the way that I plan my B-roll out is, once something in this clip is going to be reminiscent in this clip, or the second clip is going to have some way of reminding the person that they just saw the clip before. I don't think it's like a mind-blowing concept, but as far as for doing transitions and establishing where you are and what you're doing, and doing it as in that sense, it's an easy way to sit down, and as you're planning your transition, you can say, okay, I'm going to hit this, I'm going to hit that, I'm going to hit this, I'm going to hit that, and then I'll do this, and there I'll be. And that's what I did on the entry sequence to this video when I went from the car to the picnic table the first time. Before I roll the second clip, I just want to reprise the idea that the whole video is the story, and that B-roll is a paragraph, a transition paragraph from here to here, and the clips are the sentences of that paragraph that make that transition make sense, that gives meaning to that transition. Another way of looking at it is the whole video is the story, and B-roll is a paragraph that adds extra information about the story. So if you're doing a documentary about grain warehouses, then the B-roll clip talks about grain warehouses and shows something, and shows some of the elements of a grain warehouse. Why would I mention that grain warehouse? Let's see. Let's take a look at another clip where I use this technique. This was my entry into Peter McKinnon's B-roll challenge, and I start off on the roadside of the abandoned grain silo, and then I let the building lead us across. Now you don't have to be absolutely locked into trailing one clip off of the other, but each clip sort of reminds the viewer of where the previous clip left off. Take it down to the ground. The ground has the tracks in it, and then the tracks lead to the abandoned tracks lead to the track. So that was a 30-second clip where I used that technique. Again, each clip doesn't necessarily have to identically match up to the clip before, but there's something in the second clip that reminds the viewer of something from the first clip, so they know that there's a continuity, that the broken windows, and then broken windows, or picnic table. So that's the technique. Again, I don't put myself out as being like the final expert in B-roll. This is just a way that I have found to use B-roll as a way to make my stories more interesting, and a way for me to keep it organized in my head, and to kind of look at the scene and say, okay, what do I need to shoot in order to daisy chain from this place to that place, or what do I need to put together, stitch together these clips to sort of give context to the location that I'm in, or what I'm doing. Hope this was helpful, and if it was helpful, please click the like button, share, leave a comment, share the channel with someone who might benefit from it. I continue to do the sort of how-to videos, as well as the motivational and inspirational videos, and things like that. So thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you in another video. I roll the second clip, I just want to reprise the idea that that was me at my desk. I got something for the epilogue.